Hi, I'm Ann of All Trades, and today I'm going to teach you how to use a back saw. The first and most important thing you need to learn about hand tools is how to get out of their way. I think the biggest struggle for most woodworkers when they're using hand tools is that they are trying to use way too much pressure. They've spent so much time using dull, not good tools that they are used to having to use force to overcome the wood. But if you have a properly tuned and sharpened hand tool, you shouldn't have to exert very much force at all. You should basically just be able to get out of the way and start sawing. So you notice that the back saw has a back on it. This is literally so that gravity can do its job. Your whole job is to simply move it back and forth, and gravity will pull it through the cut itself. Here's your dominant hand, and you want your non-dominant foot forward, you want your dominant foot back, and you want your non-saw hand positioned on the workpiece to take all the weight off of the back of the saw. And notice how my body is now positioned. I have a total tripod of strength that allows me to be fully and confidently standing without any pressure on the saw whatsoever. Also, my arm is out of the way of the saw. If my arm can swing freely right in the line of the saw. Next comes to hand position. You want your hand to be like a pistol grip. Pointing your finger forward allows the saw to travel in the desired path. You're literally pointing where you're going, and it helps the saw to move that way as well. We're going to be very careful to keep the saw handle in a relaxed position. The best way I've ever heard it explained is you have a baby bird in your hand and don't crush it. So we're gently holding this, and here's a good indicator. If you see white on any of your knuckles or anything else, then you're gripping the saw too hard. So we've got our pistol grip, we've got the radius of our thumb here, and now notice as I've got the radius of my thumb planted there, that the pointer finger and the thumb have created a track. Now you see it's able to go all wonky without it, but simply putting my pointer finger there and my pressure on my thumb, we're able to saw in a very straight line. So next comes starting the saw. I'm pretty sure that everyone's grandpa has taught them to start the saw by drawing it back. While this may work, it's actually correct to start on the push stroke. So here I have the radius of my thumb just above the saw teeth, and I'm going to put it down here on the workpiece. I'm going to relax my grip, make sure my body's positioned in such a way that I'm out of the way of the cut, and I'm going to start the saw stroke with confidence. Once I have my saw cut started, I get my hand out of the way and I start cutting. Now, the interesting thing about newer saws is that they have a shiny saw plate. If I angle my saw, the reflection in the saw changes. What you want to see when you're sawing is a perfect reflection of the entire piece of wood so that the piece of wood looks continuous through the saw. If that parallel reflection starts to wander, you know that you need to stop, readjust your body position, and try again. So here I am just sawing right through. All of my pressure's off my whole cut. I'm looking at the reflection of the saw and also looking at the back of my cut, making sure that I am staying straight on my cut. And I'm then, after I'm somewhat confident with my motions there, I'm focusing on using the entire saw plate of my saw because I want to wear the teeth of my saw evenly. And if we're going to make a really long cut, we want to lubricate the saw. Mutton tallow or beeswax, that helps the saw, as the saw plate heats up, to be lubricated and go right through the cut. And once I've gone through my cut, I can put my scrap aside, and I have another handy little trick. Take a block plane, come up to the side of your bench hook, shoot your entering square. What you have now is a joinery ready, perfectly square, beautifully cut saw cut. You may also notice that I'm bending over quite a bit. This workbench is set up for hand planing, and so it is a lower workbench. If I were doing more than a few joinery cuts at a time, I would set up what's called a Moxon vise, which is literally just a vise that goes on top of my bench and raises the workpiece up so I don't have to bend over so much. But because I'm only making a few small cuts, this will work just fine. So say I'm cutting dovetails on the vertical. I'll take a square and make sure that my workpiece is nice and square, mostly because I want to eliminate as many variables as possible as I'm doing anything. If I'm sawing crooked and can't figure it out, well, it could be an easy solution, simply that I just need to readjust my position in my bench. We are going to place the saw right where we want to cut. We're going to have our little triangle of balance going here with our non-dominant foot forward, our dominant foot back, our body out of the way so our arm can swing freely, a pistol grip on the saw, radius of the thumb there, and we're just going to start on the push stroke with a light grip and saw with confidence. Once I've sawn across my line and I know that it's perfectly straight because I can see the reflection of the cut reflected in the saw, then I will adjust the angle and cut down to the line of my dovetails. I'll always cut the dovetails that are all going the same direction first. Once again, I've got my straight line established, then I'll angle my saw. Same thing on the other side. And then I can show you a real handy trick then. In case you're left-handed, you just switch up your body position and go for it. Now, say I'm cutting a mortise and tenon. I've got my tenon all set up here and I'm ready to saw. Watching the reflection to make sure that I'm vertical as well as parallel. Here's another left-handed cut for all you crazy kids out there. And there is a joinery ready tenon. So thanks so much for watching. If you have any other videos you'd like me to make, any tips you'd need, or any tools you want to learn how to use, leave a message in the comments below.